Alhamdulillah, as-salatu was-salamu ala Rasulullah. We praise Allah and we send blessings on Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Thank you for joining us at another installment of the R2F show. We are here. We're going to be doing an interview with an ex-member of the cult of Tmoa, or the Muslims of America, or Tmoa. Just real quick, and we'll also do this in the middle of the show. We'd like to remind people that we are a nonprofit organization, and we do help people, a lot of different people in a lot of different areas, especially people that are exiting cults that may need financial assistance, may need whatever type of assistance that we can help them get on their feet, because they're literally leaving their life and trying to start a new life. We help different charities, different things that go on when people need help, whether it's like house fires or whatever's going on, janazas, anything that's going on that we can help. This money goes towards that. We also just did like a fundraiser so we can get on a new platform. Hopefully you guys can, see us now on our own new platform where we can actually stream in HD. But just to remind everybody that you can donate, and we have multiple ways that you can donate. One way, probably the easiest way, is to just do Cash App, and it's $return to Fitrah, $return to Fitrah. Just send the money. There's no fees involved at all. Another way to do that as well is that you can donate via PayPal or Zelle, and just look us up by our email address, which is emailr2f@gmail.com. Again, that's emailr2f@gmail.com. And another way that which we would love everybody to do is to sign up for just automatic payments. There's a little fee that comes out of this one, but just so you can set a little monthly donation, whether it's $5, $10, $25 a month. That way you're giving consistently. The money's always going to be going. We don't take pay out of it. It goes to charitable stuff. Okay. So you can click on the link, which is Givelify, and you just look us up by our name. Again, let me put that up there again, is return to Fitrah, not the number, but the word to Fitrah, and just click give. You can give a one-time fee, but if you're going to give a one-time fee, just go ahead and use PayPal, Zelle, or Cash App. But if you want to set up for the monthly fees, this is the easy way to do it. You just set it up. I mean, $5 a month, like that's nothing. That's a drink and a bag of chips or something. You know what I'm saying? It's $5, but it'll go a long way. Again, I'll just put this up again real quick. Cash App, $return to Fitrah, $return to Fitrah. PayPal and Zelle is email r2f@gmail.com, email r2f@gmail.com. And Givelify is, you go to the Givelify website, you could download the app, and you look us up by return to Fitrah and click give, and you can set up everything through there. Okay. So again, yep.
Just add to that real quick. For anyone who's concerned, we do keep receipts and records. We're very clean. We're very transparent about what we're doing here as far as the organization. So there's no worries or concerns here.
Yep. And so again, we are here for an interview. We open this up to anybody that wants to come talk to us about anything related to spiritual abuse, related to cults, related to deviant activities, even if they want to defend or support the groups that we are labeling cults and they want to challenge us on that. You're welcome to come on the show. But the table is always open for anyone who wants to talk about their experiences. And we pretty much have a set template that we come up and we ask questions, and we want to hear your story, and we want other people to hear your story, because these stories always help somebody. Okay. So with that, we do have a guest, and I'm going to bring him on right now. His name is, hold on a second. Where is his screen? There he is. Okay. His name is Abdullah. And we'll just get right into it. Assalamu alaikum, Abu Sana. Thank you for joining us today. Give us a little background about yourself so that people know who you are.
I think he's frozen.
See there? Oh, looks like he might be frozen. Abu Sana, can you hear us?
Try leaving and join it back, inshallah.
Let me see. Abu Sanat, let us know if you can hear us. Well, let's see.
No, you might have to leave and join back.
About the chat, we'll just send him a message real quick. Screen.
Oh wait, there it is.
Abu Sanat? You might have a bad connection because it's okay. Here you go. There we go. Yep, we got you now. Assalamu alaikum. So tell the people about yourself. Let everybody know who you are.
I'm Abu Sanai Abdullah. I'm originally from Atlantic City, New Jersey. I currently live in Marietta, Georgia at the moment. I was with the TMOA from a child from 92 all the way to 2009. I know I had messaged you guys and said that I had split from the cult in 2007, but that's when I first started having differences with the Jamaat. I separated in 2009, so it was like a 2-year back and forth, the incidents with them all the way up until 2009, from 2007 to 2009. I was attending the Dawah Center of Tennessee Avenue in Atlantic City. We was under Khalifa Hussein, who it was, I guess he's the Khalifa of Holy Islamville in York, South Carolina. He also goes by K2. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him.
Yeah.
Also, the Emir at the time was Sami. He is a resident in the Catskill Mountains of Holy Islamburg in upstate New York. Yeah, you're kind of muted. I can't hear you.
Sorry about that. What was his name again?
Sami. He was the Emir at the time.
Sami. Okay, yep. Gotcha. Yep.
Right, and the Imam under him was Abdul Muez and Muhammad Khalil, and then I was the assistant Imam to them too.
Okay. Now, when you say Imam, are you talking about like the Imam of like the Dawah Center, or like who? How did you get like appointed an Imam? Because usually in like TMOA, like that's not a title that's usually used that much. So like, how did that come about?
I guess the title was who was doing the Friday talks. The cook was on Fridays. So I was like the third highest learned of the young students. So I was kind of like pushed into that role.
Mm-hmm.
That was like the beginning of where I started to understand where the cult was coming from, because it was more so you couldn't do nothing without permission from elders. I don't know why this like keep going off.
You got a motion light in there?
Yeah. But that kind of like sums it up, a little brief background with me with them. My Abu introduced us to them in '92. I don't know how far you guys go back, but when my Abu was with them, they had a land in Virginia at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And
so your Abu introduced you into the group of TMOA. Now, was your father also a follower of TMOA?
Yes. At the time, they wasn't even considering themselves the Muslims of America at that time. I think they was called the Jama'ah at that time.
Okay.
And then they changed into IQOU, the International Quran Open University. Then they switched to the Muslims of America.
Okay. And is your father still a member of TMOA, or is he separated from them as well?
No, my father passed away 3 years ago. Allah called him back 3 years ago.
May Allah bless him and forgive him. I mean,
okay.
So around in the 1992, you're introduced, and in Atlantic City, you were one of like the top people, one of the top 3 people in there, one of the most learned. So as far as like your activity in the group, were you involved in anything outside of in the Jamaat in TMOA, outside of like Atlantic City? Like, did you visit any other of the lands or the compounds? Did you go to any other places?
Yeah, I was involved in everything. The retreats. I was there before the Holy Conquer was built in Holy Islamville.
Okay.
I was there when they passed the first stone that they laid before they even started building. I was there for all of it.
Okay. All right. Now, so what was the thing? Like, if you can pinpoint like one thing or maybe a few things that maybe started to get you to start questioning something was wrong with the group.
When they were telling me the main books from the Imams of Hadith, they told us that we were not allowed to read them without permission. And it kind of threw me for a loop because if you're a learning student, we can't read Sahih Bukhari. So it's like, pretty much when you with the way I can say the individual I am, if you
Yep, go ahead.
so it's pretty much one of those things. You can't tell me why I'm going up.
Well, you broke up there for a second. I couldn't
So
hear what you
it was
said.
more so stuff like that. They were saying, don't read these books.
Okay. So they were telling you like
they
not
just,
read. Yeah, so they were telling you not to read like books that you.
And evidences.
Okay. Now, what do you know
books
about?
That would clarify what we following.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I there's like a time lag, so I'm gonna give you some. Go ahead and speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, so it's like the books that can prove why we're Muslim. They were telling me not to read without permission. So, as a young student, you would encourage me to read Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Ibn Majah, An-Nasa'i, and Tirmidhi, and Imam Malik, and the four imams of the madhabs. Like you would push me to learn these things and telling me that I can't read them until I get permission from Sheikh Jelani. I'm like, hold on, wait. This part I don't understand, because if this is Quran and Sunnah, why do I have to pick and choose my time frame to learn?
Right.
So what ended up happening was I started to investigate these different things because, you have other sects that come around. You got Jamaat al-Tabligh, and you have the Muslim Brotherhood, and you have all these people saying, well, why are you sitting with these guys? These guys do this, these guys do that. Oh, these guys are Sufis. I need evidence to back this stuff up. If this is what we're claiming, and these people are approaching me, what I'm just going to just let them badger me or run me off, and now I'm in doubt, and these things started to happen. So now when I come with the questions and there's no proofs and evidences, where do I go?
Right.
Who do I need to talk to? Okay, if you guys don't know, then who's higher you in knowledge that I need to learn from? And so, that's where the difference is.
What things were you taught when you were learning Islam from TMOA people? Where like they're saying you need permission to read these different things, but what type of beliefs or what type of things were they actually like promoting to you or teaching you at the time?
Like, for instance, the Halqa circles,
mm-hmm.
And just different things that I couldn't find any proof from, like Quran and Sunnah for. So like the chanting in the circles, the like when they would tell you when you go into the shrine of Sheikh Jelani, don't look up, because you're only supposed to pay attention to the lights. It's like Allah's name is presenting itself in the creation. But what they was not telling you is that they cut Allah's name into the roof so the way the sun could beam it through, which is, you get what I'm saying? It's not,
Yeah.
not clarifying anything. So it's like calligraphy, pretty much. It's like a drawn cutout, and they have you go in there and you take your hands and you're rubbing the wall and rubbing on your face. I need evidences for these things because once it gets to this point, now it's innovation.
Yeah.
Because now it's like, okay, well, if we're doing these practices, show me where we had the companions, the tabi'in, and all the way down to now who was our predecessor, our Murshid, show us where these things were done in an isnad. Show me a chain, a correct chain, not broken, where these things was done. And there's no evidences.
So,
and then I became defiant, or I'm hard-headed, or you're not listening. We're telling you, this is why we told you don't read the books, because now you're asking questions, and it got crazy for a while.
So what was ultimately the thing that like they said, okay, you cannot be a part of TMOA anymore?
What I wore to the Eid, that was it.
Wait, what'd you wear?
I wore like a Mongolian style type of dress. So I wore the kameez shalwar with the izar. And they banned me from coming to the next Eid, which was Eid al-Adha. They made me stay home. They said I embarrassed them in front of the caliphs and everything. I embarrassed them, so they made me stay home.
Wow.
I got a couple questions. So, were you married during this time, or you were still just?
No, I wasn't married at the time. No, I was single. I was just trying to learn.
So that's why he came on the land looking fly, and they like, now you gotta go.
He said, hold on now, what you got going on for you? What's wrong with you? This brother right here,
man, listen. It was crazy. It was. I went through a lot with them, man. We drove down and out. Like one time we had it was like a secret top mission they had us come. They never told us what it was. We got it at 2:00 in the morning. Drove all the way down to York, South Carolina. I pull up with my car. I get down there. They tell us, "Oh yeah, it's a family in need. We need to take your car and you can ride back with Muhammad Khalil." Whoa, wait. So you want me to leave my car because a family here is in need of a car? They was like, yeah, this is what we do because we're family. So you have to sign over your car to the people.
Wow. So I gotta ask, what do you know, or were you taught about the beliefs of like the 7 sultans and the sheikh being like this alleged 6th sultan and all? Were you taught about those types of beliefs?
Yeah, because they were saying he was a direct descendant of the Salaf Abdul Qadir Jilani.
Okay.
So when they said that, I went and looked. Okay, well, we know Abdul Qadir Jilani is from the Salaf, so let me see if it's linked in. No ties, absolutely not. No proofs, no evidences.
Yep.
Yeah, they was trying to give me. They was, because they enforce Sharia law with them as well. So they was trying to give me the lashes, have me sit in the chair with my back out, and yeah,
oh God, wait,
not.
Wow, yeah, that's one thing that happened in the community a lot. That unfortunately, I've participated in as well throughout my years, which I regret. Lashing, like we got lashed for having TVs. Everybody in the community got 10 or 20 lash. I forget what it was, but yeah, just craziness. So is there at what point, like, because we clearly say like, hey, this is a cult. It's a cult. It's a deviant sect. If the people believe the stuff that they teach, it takes them outside of the fold of Islam. At what point did you like recognize like yourself or accept yourself? Like, yeah, this is not Islam. This is a cult. Like, at what point or what thing like was like, okay, this is it. I recognize what it is.
When I came across the 5 heads of the Tagut and the calling to yourself, the worshiping yourself, to where I used to hear things where they would say that Shaji's job, they were saying he got to a point where he didn't pray anymore.
Oh gosh.
You can tell.
And I was like, how do you get to? I said, how do you get to a level like that? And they was like, well, he ascended past the sultans of this generation. He's the grand master. He's the murshid. They was like, he's the awliya of Allah. I'm like, okay, well, if the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam couldn't stop praying, he had to pray, and he stood nights and tahajjud and all this, he's higher than Prophet Muhammad?
Yeah.
Well, we're not saying he's higher, but okay, but he's not praying, so.
Yeah, it's simple logic, and even tying back to what you mentioned about Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani, there's a story, a well-known story about him that Shaitan came to him in his dream and impersonated Allah. He came in like with a big ball of light and was portraying like he was Allah. And he said to Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani exactly that, like, you've reached the highest level and you don't have to pray anymore. And Sheikh Abdul Qadir Jilani says that once he said that, he recognized it was Shaitan, because simply the logic you just said. If Rasul Sallallahu was Rasul Sallallahu and he had to pray, who am I to say I don't have to pray anymore? So he sought refuge, and then Shaitan left his dream. But it's pure common sense that a lot of people in the TMOA or any cult, they fail to use common sense. You know, it's a common trait amongst a lot of the people in the cult.
Yeah, it was even as a kid, it was strict. We couldn't do certain things. Like, they was having us come in the house at Zohar time. We just got out of school, so when I get out of school, I gotta go in the house. You know, I'm a kid. I'm in the 4th, 5th grade. I gotta go in the house so I get out of school.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, as you get older, natural inclination to having common sense is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
I know people now, like I said when I was talking to you guys through the chat, they ascribe to the way of Abu Hassan al-Ash'ari, rahimahullah. So now they follow his way, but they still use Shaji's principles.
Yep.
Like they see me when I go back home, they come run down on me, whatever. Yeah, man, you're a traitor to Jamaat, but you go to a whole other masjid and you're a part of a whole other creed.
Yep.
You don't even follow the same. You don't even follow the same teaching. So how are you battling with me?
Yeah, and
that's
one thing
that you went to Egypt, and
that's one thing that's common.
It's crazy, man.
In groups of innovation, and you'll see this commonly in TMOA, is that they pick and choose from whatever fits their narrative. So you'll see Ash'ari beliefs, you'll see Maturidi beliefs, you'll see some Sufi beliefs, you'll see some Shiite beliefs, you'll see some Salafi. Like, they'll pick and choose whatever suits them at the time. And as soon as it doesn't suit them anymore, they'll abandon that. You know, so it's real interesting how they do that. They don't stick to one thing. And like you said, it's very important for our people that are listening to realize is that they don't follow anything besides their sheikh's beliefs. Whatever their sheikh says, and it's not even like a consistent thing. They'll follow when Mubarak Jilani was their sheikh, they'll follow whatever he's saying. Then his wife comes along, then they'll abandon that and start following whatever she's saying. Then when the son comes up, he'll say something different, then they'll follow that. So they'll just follow whatever whatever suits them at the time.
I got 2 questions, brother. 2 questions. First question.
Yeah.
Do you have any type of first-hand accounts of any violence or anything extremely crazy within the cult group that has been done to you in particular?
Yeah, when they came and took the key from me, they came. It was about 8 of them. You got to think, mind you, I'm 18 years old. They come to the house. I was living with my homie at the time. They come to the house. They all got guns on them. They come get the key from me to the masjid. I'm like, I could have just bought the key to y'all. Y'all didn't have to come like that. Well, yeah, we ain't think you was because you ain't been around or whatever. I'm not gonna be around. Like, you think I'm gonna be associated with shirk and innovation? Like,
yeah.
Then you telling me I can't participate in 2 Eids, which are mandatory upon a Muslim. And you think that I'm just supposed to be around and just be a flunky and all of these things. No, it's not going like that. I put up with that for so many years to the point to where it got to a point it was like, no, I got. So once going back and forth with them, and it got to a point to where like they would put me up for a cookbook. I started speaking out to the people while they were sitting in the crowd. They was like, "Oh, you got Salafi traits, right?" I'm refuting you. Yes. You can call it what you want to call it. I'm refuting you. Yes. What you're doing in here under the scenes, and this is why, they would never do daily congregational prayers because of the shirt that they were practicing. They were never open for any salats. Nothing congregational. It was no Fajr, no Dhuhr, no Asr, no Maghrib, no Isha, nothing. You get to asking them like, so, we all got keys. Who's going to come call their down? Who's going to lead the people in prayer? Oh yeah, we don't do that in here because it's just $1 sign. But it's a Muscala here.
Oh, man.
So
any place you
brother,
establish
I got one more question.
any place. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because I want to let Mubarak funny. Mubarak go. One more question. If you had one word to sum up when you think of Mubarak Alani, what word comes to your mind immediately, right off the cuff?
To be honest, and I don't want to make it like I'm speaking bad against him, but I have to be honest. A liar, blatant.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Because you deceive the people. You are at the rate that he's you're responsible for your flock. So if you got 50,000 people and you mislead them on the day of judgment, you have to answer for that.
Yeah.
And if you're willing to, I always say this question: are you comfortable right now? If Allah was to take your soul, if the angel of death was to take your soul, are you ready to go before Allah with the state that you're in right now? With you leading 100,000, 50,000, 75,000 people, you're misleading. Are you ready to be called back? Go to the barzakh, punishment of the grave, and then go before Allah, staying 50,000 years where you don't know which hand your scrolls is going to be given into. So go before Allah. Are you ready for that?
Yeah.
That's dangerous. If you wake up every day to say, I'm comfortable with misleading these people and know that my punishment is going to be crazy.
So my question is, how everybody has a point in time where you're on the juice or in the Jamaat or functioning or whatever, and there's like a mesh point where you switch from I'm fully in this thing to I don't think this is, I don't think this is right. But at that point, it's usually like people when they tell someone else, it's about telling someone else. And either sometimes they pose it as a question, like the answer to the question, but you're posing the question to get them to kind of talk about it so that you can break the ice, so to speak. Or sometimes people just come straight out and say, I think this is wrong, or they go about it different ways. My question to you is, at that point where you realize, where you kind of made the switch from this is not what's right, that first initial conversation or interaction with someone who was close to you or someone who you respected or you loved or a family member, friend, whoever it was, what was that interaction like, and how did you first break the ice to someone that you're actually not on the juice anymore and to have that conversation?
I didn't sugarcoat it when I started to discover that these things was not to be proven. But I had a teacher, like I said, it was 2 imams at the time. It was Abdullah and Muhammad Khalil. Muhammad Khalil was my close friend and teacher. I came to him first, and he was the one that instructed me. He was like, "Don't put this before the Jamaat because they're gonna call you out on it." And I'm like, we kind of grew up together. I'm 37, so he's 41. We've been around each other for years. We grew up in the same neighborhood. You know me, I was never afraid of no one. At that time, in my recollection, I was fearless. So listen, you could tell me not to say anything, but me coming from what I was into when I was in my adolescent years of running around, doing nonsense, if this is supposed to save my life, I got to stand up for this. This is saving my soul. So if these people in the street is misleading me and I come to you guys to save me and you misleading me, I have no hope. So I got to say something. We got to get clarification. Because if you're going to be around me, we got to get the context right.
So to piggyback off of that, my next question would be is, of course, since you were in the community in Jamaat or whatever, you had friendships, you had, people who were close to you, people who you dealt with. Was there anyone that maybe surprised you that once your position or standing or membership in the Jamaat was over, that completely changed as far as their dealings with you? Anybody surprise you with how they changed, or did anybody surprise you in how they kept up their relationship with you, even though it wasn't allowed, so to speak?
Me and Muhammad Khalil was still cool to this day. He's the only one out of all of them. All of them shun me. So if I see any of them, they give salams, little minor talk out of respect for who my father was with them. But outside of that, they don't.
Muhammad Khalil was still in the Jamaat. He probably not no more.
No. Yeah, they a lot of them left. It's the elders that still
okay.
They closed down the Dawah Center of Atlantic City and went to I don't know if you guys know anything about Atlantic City, but there's a masjid, Masjid Muhammad of Atlantic City, who's ran by Amin Muhammad.
Okay.
They all are associated with him now. But the elders that are there from the Jamaat, those are the ones I'm talking about. They still hold on to the TMOA principles under the table.
Yeah. Wow. So did anybody flat out abandon you, or just not stay tight or cool with you or whatever, that surprised you? Like, man, I thought me and so were cool, and over some falsehood they kind of just completely cut you off.
Everybody
it's fine to name names too. So
yeah, I mean, me and Abdullah didn't have a good relationship. But once all that stuff happened, it was just like gone. So the little of conversation that we had, it went completely dead.
Did you want to keep and maintain these relationships, or after you realized it was a cult, did you kind of feel like, I don't need them? Because some people go both ways. See a lot of people who, even though they know it's a cult, these are their friends or family or whatever, and they really want to try to hang on to these friendships, even though their friends are deviants or in a cult or innovating and all those things. Or were you like, well, if y'all gonna be how y'all gonna be, then I don't need you?
I took a position against everybody once the clarification, and I started actually studying Islam and actually following clear principles. Me and Muhammad Khalil ended up having a run-in later on, but I took a position against everybody. I just started talking to everybody on my own. So they didn't really take a position against me. I myself fell back from them because there was no need. Because if you're not listening to me, I can only do but so much as a person to try to clarify these principles to you. And if you're not hearing them, then changes your heart, then you can come find me. I'll be somewhere, I'll be around somewhere, because I still go back home a lot. And when we cross paths and have a new conversation, then maybe we can build on something. But as far as how I dealt with them when they came and got the key and when I separate ways, it was just like I just didn't even know them anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an easy thing for a lot of people. I think people go, there's two extremes, I guess. When people, this is for people who have woken up and have realized it's a cult, it's deviant, it's innovation, and they have come to a realization that they don't want to be part of it anymore. There's like there's two sides. I think me and Jafar might be on the same side, where we kind of just threw the grenade in and blew up, lost all of our friends, everybody who was cool and close with us. We just basically told them straight up, this joint is off this joint is not part of Islam. I was arguing with them all the time, and they just started. They didn't even talk to me anymore. Then you have other people who kind of take an approach of trying to softly explain, but still dealing with them. I think maybe Hussein took more of that approach, but we just wind up in the same spot. So this is just for for the audience. I mean, really, you're going to come to the same point where the people who are going to believe and practice true Islam are going to do that. The people who are not are not. But we have to protect ourselves first and foremost. I don't know if the brother fell off or not, but that's just my take on the thing.
To give a little bit of perspective on what you're saying, Mubarak, I feel like I was in between both. Y'all know initially I try to take a softer approach. And you fast forward 4 or 5 years, I'm as stern as a rock right now. Don't look at me. Don't speak to me. Don't breathe my air. You feel what I'm saying? If y'all on that cult stuff, I'm sending you out back. And that's pretty much where I'm at right now. But I do have a question from you from the sideline. I want to get this out before the other real questions get to the table, brother Sanaa. So how did you find out about R2F?
Someone sent me a link of the two brothers arguing in I don't know if they were in Pakistan, but I think they was arguing with Shaji's son.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
And they sent me a link saying they were like, look at your old friends, and I'm like, I don't know the two brothers, but somebody sent it to me and was like, yeah, wasn't you down with them or whatever? They were like, yeah, I came across these brothers. And then when I seen you guys, that's what made me send a comment to you guys. Because I was like, dang, I was like, man, I've been waiting for years, since 2009. We in 2024. I've never spoken about none of this.
Jeez. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, what we're going to be taking some, if there's any questions from the audience that will be coming in, you guys type your questions in the chat so we can ask Abu Sanaa. And so one question I would ask is, as far as like being a lot of people that are in the cult, especially people that are like born and raised in the cult, but most everybody has this problem of like transitioning to like the actual ummah of Muslims. Now, first question is, did you have any problems transitioning away from the cult and actually still being like a functioning Muslim in the larger Muslim context? And what advice would you give to other people that are exiting the cult as far as like how to actually make that transition to still being a functioning Muslim and not being like having anxiety about going to the masjid and dealing with other Muslims and those types of things?
It was a little difficult because I was I didn't know which way to go because I grew up in that Jamaat. So I didn't think really, I just thought, Islam was Islam. So, when you, I'm not going to say of ignorance, but, the lesser learned, lay Muslims.
Right.
When you don't know about the 73 sects and these different, the Jahmiyyah or the Tabligis or, just different sects that are around. So you just think that Islam is Islam. So when you start finding out that what you following could be a lie or whatever the case may be, it's the same like how if anybody was a Christian. When you go to church and you realize that they using church funds to buy, you're like, oh wait, whoa, you told me that this was supposed to be tithes and offering.
Yeah.
So when that type of stuff starts to happen, you kind of either go back to what you know, or I'm just gonna stick to Quran and Sunnah. I'm just gonna go pray. I'm not gonna attend no classes. I'm not gonna do nothing. I'm just stay out the way. And that's not a good approach and a good way to try to navigate through the dunya. It's not, because you'll end up, if you was a partier or you was into, had a high infatuation with women, or you drank or you smoke, you gonna revert back to that because you don't have no other way to go. You're gonna go back to what you know.
Right.
So my advice.
So did you have any?
Go ahead, brother.
I was gonna say, like, did you have any instances where, because like, for instance, one example is in the cult, after every, Fard Salah, they, do Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, la ilaha. So they do this dhikr after every Salah, which is an innovation. But so normally we would do that. I remember we used to go and play in basketball tournaments or whatever against the regular Muslims, in the city or whatever. And whenever it was time to pray, like if we ever got a chance where we was the last people in the gym or whatever was by ourselves, then we would go and do our little bit of our innovation Jones after the Jones, but we never would do it, in the public. So my question is, like, certain things like that things that we did in the cult that were innovations we didn't know, we just going about it as this is Islam that we thought. Were there any things that you practiced as far as Islam or said or did that once you got around other Muslims, they told you, hey, this is not quite it, and then you had to go through that struggle of, well, I thought this was Islam, so was there any like pushback or any friction there, if you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, because that's how I ended up branching off to go actually study for myself. Because it was people that was running into me that kept saying like, yo, you need to investigate it, man. Like, because my Abu left first and ascribed to Salafiyah. I was still with the Jamaat at that time. So I was still, IB, you don't know what you're talking about, man. You don't want to introduce us. How you gonna tell me don't go down? Like this is what we grew up on. Yeah, but I'm so far away and you there, I think you should look into it or whatever. And it just was. The thing with me is that once it started to get bad like that, and I'm like, all right, let me at least go investigate. Then when I started to see the stuff that I really need to see, proofs and evidences, we can't do this, we can't do that. And like, even with like how you were saying, like the chanting after the basketball games, that's what I was talking about earlier, the hawker circles. You had to be given permission to participate in that type of stuff. But if this is sunnah and this gives you barakah, or it's supposed to get you closer to Allah, why do I need permission to do these things? Right? You're saying this is something that get me closer to going to paradise, right? So why am I waiting for a phone call from a man in Pakistan to tell me I can go?
Wow. No, pure cult.
All right. So we have some questions here.
So
on the side.
Most I can say to people that are stuck in this the cult that are afraid to leave. One thing I could say is save yourself, save your family. For the men, because the women and the kids are going to follow behind you. We are the leaders. We're the shepherds of the family. Mm-hmm. So you have to be diligent into saving your family, because I done seen brothers happily married and they come busting their door like, yo, you got to divorce your wife because Sheikh over there divorced his wife, so we need your wife. I done seen these things happen to brothers.
Wow.
Put off land, like you done paid your rent to live on this land. They come and take your trailer from you because you went to Walmart after curfew.
It's crazy. All right, I think we have some questions from the audience, and we'll cover the questions, and then after we get done with that, we're going to give you the last word to like basically your message to the people, but we'll cover some questions from the crowd first. We did have one that I seen in the chat real quick. I'll put it up on the screen. It was from Uncle Abdullah. He said, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. He wants to know who's your Abu. He wants to know if your Abu's name, because you might know him. Is he still there?
I think our connection might be.
Abu Sana, let us know if you're still there. In the meantime, real quick, we'll go over the donations. Oh, again, you could donate to R2F Cash App. Nice, easy way. Everybody has Cash App. $return to Fitrah. You can send your money that way. Also, you could donate via PayPal or Zelle. Just looks up by our email address, which is emailr2f@gmail.com. And if you want to set up auto payments, the best way to do that is to go to Givelify. There's an app you can download and look for us by Return to Fitrah, and you could donate that way as well. Just to let people know, we also do collect and distribute zakat. So if you're looking for a place to give your zakat, a place that doesn't take any fees from it, and 100% of your money is going to zakat eligible funds, you can give it to Return to Fitrah. Just make sure that when you do send us the money, you clearly label this is zakat, because we keep those funds totally separate from the regular donations. Regular donations go to stuff like janazas and women needing help buying food or whatever else that may come up. So donate. It's not like a lot of these other organizations that have staff that they're paying staff to manage this, manage that. It's literally our handful, and we're just making sure the money gets directly to the people. And whenever we can, give to when we have thousands of dollars that we're going to donate to a big place, we make sure that we give to places that are actually 100% the money's going to the people that need it. So everybody needs, one of the things when we pass away, and when the law asks us, what do you want to go back? And I'm probably butchering it, but we'll ask to go back so that we can give more charity. That's one of the things that we ask to go back to our real life. So I wish I went back and gave more charity to get more blessings. So let's all take advantage of that, inshallah. I think we might have lost him. We'll see if we'll give a few minutes. We had a few questions. We had one question that was kind of directed at everybody. The question is, I'm curious about how people are taught the seventh Sultan ideology. I guess it's different for everybody. From my perspective, it was something that was just kind of like word of mouth, and then you had to kind of go look into it yourself by asking like an elder or somebody else that knew it. It was more of we sang songs about it. People would mention it at like khutbahs. It'd be mentioned in like different addresses and videos. And then after you heard it, you just kind of adopted oh yeah, he's the sixth Sultan. And then you really didn't know what it meant until you actually asked somebody, what does that actually mean? Then someone would explain this and that. I don't remember, me specifically, any classes were hey, this is what it is, Yeah.
For my experience, am I on mute?
No, you're good, Mubarak. You're good.
Oh, okay. I never heard anyone actually teach the sixth Sultan. I never actually. The first person who taught me about it was Jafar. Actually, I learned about I learned it as actually what there was a seventh Sultan, and all that stuff. The whole seventh Sultan thing, from Jafar doing the original videos or whatever. But all the time in the community, we heard sixth Sultan thrown around. I never knew there was a fifth or a fourth or who the first was. None of that stuff was really even mentioned, or definitely wasn't taught. There wasn't a class. At least I never was privy to it. So, but just to be clear, if anyone doesn't know by now, they should. If they're watching or listening to this, they should. But the seven Sultans, the belief that there's seven Sultans, is kufr.
Mm-hmm.
And if a person believes that, that's just like you believe in the Trinity or anything else. You're not a Muslim. If you know what it is and you believe that, it's not Islam. So if you have a husband or a wife that believes that someone is a seventh Sultan, if they believe Jilani is the sixth Sultan, and he is, and the Sultans, they believe that they are sparks and they're part of Allah's nur. They believe they're part of Allah. And even in the books that explain it, they say it's okay to call them Allah because they're actually part of them and they were created before everyone else and all these things, a bunch of kufr. So basically, if you yourself believe in the seven Sultans, if this is news to you, it's not part of Islam, reject that belief, just go with what is in Islam. If you know someone who knows about the seven Sultans and they believe in it, they understand it, that person is not a Muslim And if you're married to one, well, the marriage is over.
Yeah.
So, be careful. I mean, of course, you would tell your spouse or whatever, hey, you know what, this belief is shirk, is kufr. You're not allowed to believe that. This is not part of Islam. If they say, well, you're wrong or whatever, the best thing to do is to completely separate yourself from that person and then try to keep working on them. But, that person's not a Muslim. Muslims don't believe that. It's not an Islamic concept.
Let me jump in real quick. Everything you're saying right now, Mubarak, is spot on, because for some of us, we actually lived this type of stuff. Like, I actually lived through exactly what you're saying. I had to speak to my family, and let them know that this belief is shirk and it's not acceptable and it's not allowed. And then when you get into those type of spaces, you have all different type of battles that you got to battle. You know what I mean? You're battling the father-in-law, the mother-in-law, the sisters, the brothers. You feel what I'm saying? You're battling your significant other, and you're battling your children. And you really kind of like got to get into the trenches, and you got to stand 10 toes down. You got to stand on business. You understand what I'm saying? And unfortunately, it gets like that. It gets exactly like that. I mean, I can attest to what you're saying to be 100% true. You know what I'm saying? And you got to really stand firm. And it's a brutal battle. It is a brutal battle. It's not easy. This is not going to be something that, I mean, for some people, it might be a little bit easier. You know what I mean? Like what you guys say, y'all just snapped a grenade, just blew up the whole building. But then other people, you got to send a mercenary crew in there. You got to send, you know what I mean, the black ops in there. And you got to like really be careful about how you're going to move around and how you're going to go about your business. That 7 Sultan malarkey, I mean, it is just, honestly, it's just a mess. It's an absolute mess.
To put it into context, it is actually worse. And we're talking to like spouses because we know like people are encountering this, is that, like Mubarak said, it's a very dire situation because as Muslim men, we're only allowed to be married to Muslims. And then depending on what scholar, like you say, people of the book, Christian and Jews, right? Okay. So, but this belief, it is the equivalent of your spouse. And we're not just talking to we're talking to husbands and wives. It's the equivalent of your spouse. Well, before I get into that, men can be married to Muslims and people of the book. Women can only be married to Muslims. So let's get that out there real quick, right? But this belief is worse than your spouse coming home and saying,
I'm a Christian.
I believe Jesus is the Son of God. It's actually worse than that. Because even in like some Christian doctrines, like some of their belief in the Trinity and Jesus, Son of God, is like they're getting closer and closer to a little bit closer to Tawheed, but it's still like miles apart. But this actually is not, it's worse than a Trinity. It's actually a Trinity times 2 plus 1. We're talking about, actually it's times 3, because we're talking about 9 different entities that they're talking about that are actually Allah. And if you think about that, you put that into perspective, that most men or women, if their spouse came home and said, yeah, I believe Jesus is part of God, you're going to be like, what? No. Oh, we can't be married. That's how serious it is. And people have to really wake up to that fact. And if we put it in a context like that, maybe people understand. Just like if someone came back, like there's certain things that we know as like African Americans that like, oh yeah, I'm not dealing with that, right? As a Sunni Muslim, if someone came back and started talking about, the honorable Elijah Muhammad and Prophet, this and that, you'd be like, oh yeah, we're done. Mm-hmm. This is worse than that. Mm-hmm. Well, because people put on kufis and they make salah and they do all these different things, it's hidden. And this is just a trick that Shaitan does, just like the people that were claiming to be Muslim back with Musaylima the liar, that were following him. They were making salah and doing all these different things, looking just like all the rest of the Muslims, but they believed in another prophet after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Just like the Qadianis, just like all these other sects that have clearly left Islam.
Yeah, so you just got to be careful. Just got to be very careful. The Christians, they say Isa is the Son of God, and everyone here, I mean, like when you have a son or a child, whatever, a part of you is then implanted into a part of another human and then creates a third person. And so what the Christians are saying is what's so blasphemous, is saying a part of Allah, is then, inserted into a human being, and then between Allah and another human, a third human was created, but actually is the creator. It's ridiculous, right? But it's more ridiculous with the seven sultans. Their belief is that one of these sparks, or whatever you want to say, they're parts of Allah. And then they separated and became seven different entities when we know that Allah says, "Qul huwallahu ahad." Allah is one. There's no, that blows it out of water completely. So to believe in the seven sultans, you automatically disbelieve in the Quran. You disbelieve in what Allah said, "Qul huwallahu ahad." Everyone knows that sort of. We don't even need to go past there. So just be careful. This is why we say that if you're married to one of these people who believe this, the people who believe this and know, they understand it, they believe it, it's not Islam. They have chosen another religion. We didn't kick them out. They chose that other religion.
Think about this. Think about how crazy this is. Like what you said earlier, Mubarak. Truthfully, I learned, and I think a lot of us learned in depth, what this Sultan concept, the seven Sultan concept, was really about from Jafar. Jafar actually did the research. He put boots on the ground, did the actual research. We're just going through blind following and blind, just moving for 20, 30 years. Think about this. But this concept is what your whole organization is based around. But no one actually taught it to us. It was more so used in a way to kind of big up the Galani, Mubarak Galani, or sensationalize this or give them these special magical, Marvel comic powers or whatever. It was used in that space, but it was never really actually taught. We only learned this information through the research that our brother did. And it was an eye-opener for us then. You know what I mean? I remember when I just got curious. I had the nerve to get curious, about a decade ago. And man, I almost got my head ripped off. Everybody was up in a tizzy because I had a nerve to ask where was the origins of this situation. I remember one of my fake uncles. I'm gonna call him a fake uncle because that's what he is. We call these old heads uncle. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you piss them off or speak against the cult, and all of a sudden you out back. But one of these fake uncles, he was like, I was just asking him where was the information chronicalized. If you guys are going to be talking about this is number one, I believe it was Prophet Muhammad's daughter. You guys just went balls to the walls with it. Okay, Prophet Muhammad's daughter is number one. I literally just asked them where was the information chronicalized, like where was it at from 1 to 2 to 3, just in a book. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, I almost got my head ripped off. You know what I mean? To where it's like, okay, but again, this is your whole doctrine, this is your whole belief system, and no one talks about it. Come on, man. I
remember I was in 5th grade, Sal's class, and she was telling us it was me, Akbar Mahbub, and her son Abdullah. She was telling us about how we're gonna be the next generation to follow under the seventh Sultan Noor when he's time, and you're gonna help him out. You're gonna be there in Pakistan. You're gonna be. I was like, who the hell is Noor? And she was like, you don't know Noor? I was like, I have no idea who Noor is. Like he's the seventh Sultan. I was like, what's that? She was like, ask Umi about it. So I went home. I talked about Umi. I was like, Umi, what's the seventh Sultan? She's like, I don't know. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I'm going to tell you, man. Get me follow that. So shout out to Jafar, because I promise you, besides that day, I didn't hear a word about the seventh Sultan. I didn't hear about the Fitrah al-Ahmadiyya. I didn't hear about Lahut Ahmad Khan in Pakistan. I didn't hear about none of that crap. So this is all it's like TMA folklore.
I just say, sorry to say. I'm sorry to say. I know we said it before. Just to reiterate, it's the same thing as living your whole life thinking your uncle was your dad and your dad was your uncle, and now you've realized it's actually switched. Your uncle was saying that he was your uncle the whole time, but really he was your dad, and he knew, and your dad knew, your actual dad knew, but he pretended to be your uncle. Now that you know, you can be mad, you can be upset. No, I lived my whole life with this, but he's not your dad. It was a lie. So the thing is, you just have to go with what you're in. It's a horrible situation. You were tricked for 40 years. You were tricked for 30 years. It's a horrible situation. But the truth is the truth. Whoever, the boy lied. He made up some junk. And whether he believed it or not, it doesn't even matter because it's not part of Islam. Now that you know the truth, you just have to leave it. And everything attached to it. The cult, the group, the sheikha, all that. Leave them niggas behind. This, you just got to leave it. Just cut it loose. Whatever happens, even if you get killed, even if you get slaughtered, it's better than you dying believing that some Indian dude was a seventh sultan who's actually part of Allah. Look at him. How can you even, think such a ridiculous thing, let alone believing as a Muslim? I know this wasn't the top of the show. I'm just going to stop right there, but please.
We'll be covering this in more depth, soon, inshallah. And just to let y'all know, everything, the seven sultan belief is like the crux of everything. But it's not the only belief in Tmoa that actually potentially takes you outside of the fold of Islam. It's not even the only one. Like I think the last time we counted, it was at least like 5 or 6 that was like, yeah, if you believe this, you're out of the fold. If you believe this, like one that comes to mind is, Mubarak Jilani teaches that Abu Bakr and Umar actually conspired to take the caliphate from Khalifa Ali.
Oh, Shia. Okay.
Yeah, that actually takes you outside of the fold of Islam. It's like that's a Shia belief. Everybody knows that Abu Bakr was number one man after Rasul sallallahu, number one of the Sahabas. The second was Umar. And then there's like there's a room for difference of opinion between Uthman and Ali. Yeah. That's why they had that whole caliphate, and they were like one guy was picking between the two, which one he thought was better. Like, but anyway, don't think like, okay, I don't believe in seven sultans, I'm safe. I believe in everything else. No, you're not safe.
There was a question that just popped up on the screen. We want to make sure we get that question. Let's try to cover.
Where's
it? We can get the questions.
I don't want that question to get lost in the sauce.
Which one is it?
Just recently popped up. It was saying somebody might pretend, if someone's husband pretends or something, that they
in the case where
a spouse
pretends to believe in the shirk seven sultan in the presence of friends family to preserve relationships, what would that be a kufr mindset?
I'd say that.
I couldn't hear the question. What was it?
In the case where a spouse husband pretends to believe in the shirk seven sultan in the presence of family and friends to preserve relationships, would that be a kufr mindset? So basically, like you try to, hey, I believe in Jelani or whatever the hell around friends and family, but
this one is a little bit tricky. It's not as for me. Again, I can speak to this because I have the experiences with some of my family members. Very, very dicey, very tricky. And I would just say it takes a little bit of time for a person to really build up their.
I got one word. I got one word.
That bridge. We ball. All right. We ball. That's the mindset you have to have.
I know y'all want to listen. I know y'all want to have this stance, but we have to remember where we came from. We have to remember our journey. You feel what I'm saying? Because we were once over there. We were once.
No.
Not you. I don't know. Yeah, we was all talking about. What I'm saying is, it takes a bit of time to work through that. Like I said, if you guys want to just throw a grenade over there, some people have that type of experience. Other people, it takes a little bit of time, and sometimes people come around, sometimes they don't. I have the experience of both. I have the experience of someone coming around immediately and be like, nah, we out on this.
But there's a difference between.
Let's.
Okay, go ahead.
I feel like I know where you're gonna go with it, Jafar, and I want you to. But let's play who's on the hot seat real quick. Okay, tell us, how did that work out? Like that way, where the person kind of went through it in a more a sensitive approach, maybe even kind of blending in, kind of pretending like I kind of understand y'all's point of view or whatever. How did that work out? Did that work? Hold up. Did that help the people who believed the foolishness to then somehow come back or did it eventually wind up, where you started?
Well, I would say some relationships are real, you know what I mean? And sometimes people are just on other sides. I mean, and you still care about that person. Just because they have a separate belief of yours does not mean you do not care about that person. And because you care about that person, you're going to give them a longer extension. And like I said, I worked on this particular brother, and you guys know him well, for years because I cared. You feel what I'm saying? He would battle me. Now he's on this side, and he's like, man, I apologize. I know you was on me. You was this, you was that. So I have this experience here. I even have it, like I said, with my close family, where I'm trying to get in there, and I gotta do that hard work where I know what it is. And now there's situations right now where a person, just like that person was just saying about the question, might not be a man, might not be a woman, could be a dog. We don't know what it is. Let's just keep it there. But that person now might have to pretend a little bit for the sake of preservation. Everybody is not as strong as you want them to be. This is my position because, again, I'm living this experience.
I hear you. Okay, my last question. My last question, Who's my last question for you is, you complete the fifth if you want to. No problem. Did you ever pretend at any time?
Did I ever pretend to? I'm gonna keep it a buck. I'm gonna keep it a whole rack. No. That's just me, you know what I mean? When I realized I couldn't take it, I'm just like, this is goofy, you know what I mean? So it was hard for me to pretend. I'm just not really that type of person, but I can understand some people's personalities are a little bit more docile. They're not as confrontational. They can't really articulate themselves well. And it's, like I said, it's just a slippery slope. But I get what
I think I'm going to push back a little bit on what you're saying, because I think what you're actually talking to is actually being patient with somebody and working with them. What the question was about.
Let's restate the question again, and then go ahead, John. I think we're probably going to say something similar, so I'm going to let you do it. But restate the question again so that so everybody can understand what Jaffer is about to explain here.
Yeah. So the question was, in the case where a spouse, husband, so we're talking about a man, pretends to believe in the shirk 7 Sultan in the presence of friends, family, to preserve relationships, would that be a kufr mindset? So as far as like working with people, being patient with them, maybe taking a lighter approach when you deal with them to preserve the relationships, that's all depending on what type of person you are and how you deal with things. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But as far as somebody pretending to believe in kufr, right, and shirk, in order to preserve relationships, the goal wasn't to guide them to the truth, to get them to abandon it. And even if that was the goal, that's the wrong way to approach it, because their goal was to preserve the relationship. Now, if we can go into a whole in-depth discussion about this, because you could say, I don't know about a kufr mindset. One, very clearly, it's a hypocritical mindset, a mindset of a munafiq right there. That's the mindset right there. Two, it's also, we can make a very strong argument that is shirk, because you are now putting human relationships above your relationship with Allah. You're like, okay, you know what? I'm going to act like I believe in the cross and do all these, like, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, wear a cross around my neck because I like all my kafir friends.
Let me jump in there right there. I actually, now that the question was reposed, actually, it was put up there again. I agree with you, Jaffer. I do agree with that. And I guess I was coming at it from a different angle where you're, like you said, you're trying to go in and fight for like your spouse or fight for this person or that. Where if you're just trying to have some goofy relationships, well, we know relationships is flimsy as heck anyway.
Exactly. So, yeah.
I agree 100%. Yeah. That's not acceptable.
And I would say, and I tell this to a lot of people because, like, I've, like Mubarak has mentioned, I'm gonna throw the grenade and hey, let's just deal with what's left after I throw the grenade, right? It's all out there. But and I've seen people deal with their situations and how they give dawah and how they deal with whether it's friends, family, spouses, children's parents, and how they deal with it. And everybody has a different approach, right? And in my opinion, the only there's definitely approaches that are better than others depending on who you're dealing with. Again, everybody's different, right? But the only wrong approach is to actually not let them know what you believe. Mm-hmm. Because when you actually, I was just dealing with someone recently who just got off the juice, right? And they were trying to figure out, like, how do I talk to my Abu? How do I talk to my family? Like this and that. And I was like, we can strategize how to do that. I can help you the best. But one thing that you must do is let them know, I do not believe in what you believe. Because right there, even if you have no dawah skill, even if like you don't have like courage, even if you don't, whatever, you don't have any of those tools to like, your mere presence of them knowing that you don't believe it anymore is dawah in itself. Because every time they look at you, they're going to be like, they don't believe. They don't believe. And their mind is going to be racing. Like they say how like we're obsessed and like this. No, your mere presence of like, that nigga don't believe anymore is going to drive them crazy. They will go crazy, and it might drive them to do some research. It'll drive them to bring up the conversations themselves. All of a sudden, they'll want to talk to you about Islamic stuff sideways, like, what do you think about so-and-so, right? They'll start sending you Jelani videos, and all you have to say is like, yeah, that's trash. Where's the proof? And you don't have to refute them. You can just say, where's the evidence? That can be your response to every single thing they send you from the Jamaat. Where's the evidence? Where's the proof? So, like, I really like to hide your belief is really it's cowardly, it's hypocritical, it's a sign of a munafiq, and you are sacrificing your relationship with Allah, someone that you're going to stand in front of on the day of judgment all alone for these people that will abandon you on that day. They will run from you and say, leave me alone. I don't know you. I don't care about you. I only care about myself. For that?
It is number one, as you said, it is the very definition. It's the textbook definition of a munafiq, right? This is what the munafiq does. Even though technically, I guess you could say it's on the flip side. The person is a Muslim, but they're pretending to be a non-Muslim. Okay, but this is what the munafiq does, because the munafiq is an opportunist. It's advantageous for him socially, maybe financially, that he presents himself as part of this group. But as soon as the tide turns, now, for instance, if you were in this group of Tmoa people or whatever, and you're pretending, yeah, Seven Sultan, yeah, you're doing the, yeah, Abuji, whatever, yeah, when they're doing their dhikrs, you're like, yeah, Allah, yeah, you're just going along with it, right? Secretly, but really, you like this joint is showing a shirt, but you're going. Now, if, for instance, Noor turned on a dime and said, you know what? She's Salafi. All of a sudden, she showed up in the niqab and started, gloves and everything. She just going off, right? This man would flip on a dime and be like, yeah, I was Salafi all along. Well, I didn't believe that all along. Now he's just flipping, and now he's the biggest, Quran and Sunnah person. He's like Seven Sultans, a shirk or whatever. So you just go on whatever them blows. And guess what? If they flip back, you'll flip back. Whoever's spouse this is should be wary of this person, because this is the person who they will blow in the wind anyway. I would say this person could.
Well,
if the situation is right, if the climate is right, if the environment is right, he might be with you today, or she might be with you today and gone tomorrow.
Here's my question, though, for the wife of this person. How do you know they're not faking with you to preserve your relationship?
I mean, that's on a lower level. I mean, yeah, listen, if you fake with me, I mean, as long as I'm good.
Everything y'all said is 100% true. Well, I understand.
But let me get seriously though. But the thing is, also,
here we go.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Go ahead, Amr.
No. I was just gonna say, listen, I don't understand, because if you're anti-Tmoa, right, or you're against the beliefs of Sultan, you know for a fact 100% there was a 0% chance, 100% no shadow of doubt that you are absolutely correct. when you know for a fact you are right, that I told you so. Listen, you should be insufferable about how right you are. You should be like damn near an asshole to me. All that crap, like, come on. But I'm right, chat. You can ask my family, my wife. I am terrible, chat. Oh, terrible. I'm right. Oh, terrible. When I was early days RWF chat, talking to cousins and stuff, chat. Oh, they couldn't stand my ass. Oh, you following Jelani? You still come on, grow up, bro. Listen, so
yeah. but you know what? Even on top of that, it's like this type of person. This person cares more about himself than the people he's around. Because think about it, he doesn't believe what they believe because he believes that will get him. That it's kufr and it will lead him to the fire. He thinks he'll go to hellfire if he believes that. Yet he will be around you and enjoy your company and enjoy the socialization or whatever, knowing that you are about to go off a cliff. That's like us two having a sandwich, right? We have a foot-long sub or something like that. We cut it in half. One half has jalapenos, the other half has something that looks like jalapenos, but it's really poison. I know it's poison. So I'm like, yeah, we're both hungry. I'm like, I knowingly will take the good half. You don't even know or realize it's poison. But because I worry about myself. And I'm sitting there eating with you eating, you're like, man, this is good. Is it jalapenos? You're like, yeah, it is jalapenos. And you eat. So I mean, you're gonna let the person consume poison so that you can enjoy a meal with them. Then you go back home and you can lay your head on the pillow at night, knowing that you had fun, you hung out, you laughed, you joked, you ate. Meanwhile, these people are believing something that you believe will give them the worst punishment and lead to their destruction. This person does not care about them. He's extremely selfish. And as Java said, you don't know whether he's real or fake with you or anybody else. That's a person I wouldn't even, if I knew that about a person, wow, this person will blow in the wind and won't stand on anything. Yeah.
Let me take a quick survey. I'll take a quick survey. I'll give my answer first. If this was your wife, what would you do? Me? I'd give one warning and be like, if you act like you believe that one more time, you're getting. I'm gonna commit the sin and give you. And I'm not gonna, because I'm gonna give you one to luck, and I will make sure that period expires. That's my response to that.
I mean, so is it because this is the thing now? For instance, say you go to, like, okay, let's use basketball for instance. We go to a basketball tournament or whatever. We're hooping or whatever, and then during a break or whatever, sitting there and someone says, man, something about the 7 sultans or whatever. Now, if you keep quiet, does that count? Or once someone says, Jelani is the 6th sultan or something, if you don't say, no, he's not, then does that count?
No, see, I got no problem. I mean, I have a problem, but I'll be cool with someone who at least is just quiet. Right? Okay. You didn't have enough to like challenge it or disagree with it, so you just remain quiet. Okay, fine. But if you come out your mouth like, yeah, may my Murshid live forever. Nah. I'm done. I'm done.
Oh yeah. Wow.
Yeah. You gotta cook them. I mean, I think for some people who are not, because sometimes you understand the concept, but you don't know how to articulate it. And for those people, I give a break. But they can at least say, Jelani is not the 6th sultan. Or they can say, I don't believe in that. And this is what I tell. This one, like, let me go on a small rant. Just a small rant.
Yep. Go ahead.
So this is what, like, in the wider Muslim ummah, we have a similar thing. Like, I give the khutbah every week, and I try to get this across to them. A lot of these people who they're caught between assimilating into Western Christian, holidays and concepts and these things, and they don't know how to say when someone says Merry Christmas. There's certain talking heads on the internet that try to tell them, oh, you can say you can say to you too, or you can respond back, or you can oh, if someone comes to your doorstep on Halloween, you can be like, you can give them candy because a Muslim should be generous and should give sweets to their neighbors. They make all types of excuses for these things.
Yeah,
and I tell them, You have to become, even if you can't articulate why Halloween is wrong. You don't know the history. We do. Y'all just got here or whatever. Y'all don't really know, but you know you're Muslim. You're getting mixed signals. But what you need to do is that, regardless of whether you can articulate it, what you have to do is just at least say, when someone says Merry Christmas, you tell them, I'm not Christian. That way, you don't need to explain nothing else. They'll get the message, and you can, and just like Jafar, you said, you made a great point where after that, just your actions and your conduct is going to be the dawah after that. That's all you need to do. So when they say Happy New Year, say, I'm not Christian. Hey, Merry Christmas, I'm not Christian. Happy Halloween, I'm not Christian. I don't believe in that. You know, when they say, Merry Christmas, I tell them the number one thing is they should say, you know what? I'm not Christian, or I don't believe in that is even better. But if you're not strong enough to say that, say I'm not Christian. But definitely to tell them, I don't believe in that. When they say, Merry Christmas or any of this stuff, I don't believe in it. And you can leave it there. You really don't have to say nothing else. I mean, I think maybe some years back, I even shared like an audio where they tried to say that to me. I just tell them straight up, no, I don't believe in that. And they like, they get a little shocked or whatever. Sometimes like, because we look like everybody else. Yeah, but after that, they, then they start to watch you. They really start to watch you and watch your conduct and see, if what you say you believe, then are you walking the walk? So you kind of have a microscope on you, but still. So what you can do is when someone says, Noor is the seventh Sultan, just say, I don't believe that. I don't believe in the seven Sultans, and leave it there. If your father-in-law or sister or friends or whatever, some of us have family members or whatever that are all, on that tip. But as long as you tell them, hey, I don't believe it, then they're gonna, after that, okay, what do you believe? And they're gonna see you just doing the Quran and the Sunnah, and that's good enough. That's good enough to where you don't have to cut your family ties. You don't have to disassociate completely with people who are relatives of yours. Friends, I mean, that's a different thing. But your relatives, you still interact with them, but they should know 100%. You do not believe in that. You don't believe Jelani is anything special, and that should be okay. Now, it probably won't be. They probably will try to excommunicate you and boycott you, but you have to make that stand at the very least. I don't believe that. And then don't say nothing else.
I like what you guys said about just keeping quiet, because sometimes that might be the place where someone is. They're not strong enough to say, I don't believe in this malarkey or this mess, but they keep quiet about it. They neither affirm it or support it, but just don't outright, speak against it. And this is maybe them detesting it in their heart. And again, we just got to give a little bit of space and grace to the various different levels that people may go through. You know what I'm saying? Until they get and build up. Like I said, a person like me, I'm very aggressive. Well, I won't say I'm aggressive, but I'm pretty straightforward. I'm kind of like a black and white dude. If I don't monkey with something, I don't monkey with it.
And so you can take it there if you need to. You're a person who's laid back, but if you need to ratchet it up, a few notches, you can do that. I think we're similar in that way. But the one thing that I would say is I think that a person should never keep quiet. I don't think that should ever be an option unless you don't have any other option, right? Unless your husband is standing over you with a fist, like, what? Say Jelani is a seven Sultan. You're like, all right, he's a six, or whatever, Or if you're in a situation where there's a group of people just talking and you're not part of the conversation, right? You're around them. You're at the basketball court or whatever, and they're talking. You don't got to jump up in their conversation and be like, no, he ain't. Yeah, listen, if they ain't talking to you, but seriously, if a person is talking to you and they say, you know what, when the sixth Sultan told us, you can be like, hold up, I don't believe in that. That is not that difficult to say in a conversation between two people, even if it's your father. You should be able to, because this is the thing. And the reason why I'm telling you is it's easy to keep quiet, but your keeping quiet is you co-signing it. When it even like I said, sometimes, like I'll just say, I won't call them out, a family member of mine, someone who's very close to me, a blood relative of mine. Sometimes they say, something about, Jelani, I make it a point the way it's very clear. And so now whenever he talks, what he will say is that, I know you don't believe in it, but, and then go on. So that way it's clear. I don't believe in that nigga. I don't believe nothing about what I tell him. It's very clear. So I know everybody's not going to be as straightforward and direct as we are. I know that, but they can at least say, if someone's having a conversation with you, your mother or whoever's on the phone, and say, when the sixth Sultan told us, you'd be like, you know what, homie, I don't believe in that. I do not believe that he's a sixth Sultan. Then let her go. Let her keep talking or whatever. That way it's clear.
let's be fair. Let's be fair to each, gender, because men, we have a particular temperament. Women, not so much like us. So for a woman, you have to
wait.
Hold on. Let me get my point out.
All right, go ahead.
To consider that women are more willing, or basically, a man would be more willing to assert that position, where a lot of times a woman is more so in the back, and it takes a little bit more time. So if she just does not agree, she might not be the type of woman that's going to be like, oh, let me say this or let me say that, blah, blah, blah. She might just keep quiet. And again, all I'm basically saying is we have to consider that we're men. So we're talking amongst each other and blah, 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 blah. But if you have a more docile, mild-mannered woman or something like this, she might not believe in none of that malarkey. She might talk to you on the side about it or something, but she might be less willing to speak out or say X, Y, Z. You guys are just sounding like, okay.
No, so let's be clear about a couple of things. Hold on.
There's a whole group of men that won't say nothing.
But I want to clarify some things, because
people that won't say a word.
We have to be clear on because what is fair. Like, we can have our own opinions and all that, but what is actually fair to men and women is just following the Quran and the Sunnah.
Of course.
This is very clear on this. Like, first thing we have to distinguish between is when a person is, because we all went through this phase where you actually don't know your beliefs yet. We're not talking about people who are like waking up and they're like, is this true? One day they believe it, one day they don't. They're kind of going back and forth. So like, yeah, you don't want to speak up because you actually don't even know what you believe yet, right? That's a whole different thing of waking up. We're talking about people that, okay, this is not true. Once you pass the stage of like, this is false and what is true, now you have entered a category where you have to follow the Quran and the Sunnah. And there's a clear hadith. We all know the hadith. We reference it all the time. Is that Rasul says, when you see something wrong going on, the first thing you do, and this is for men and women, is you stop it with your hands, right? And then that's our default. We stop it. And now, when you meet certain criteria, you're allowed to drop down to the next level, right?
My question to that would be when. So when is
anytime?
Hold on. When is okay? So basically, if the person doesn't do it when you expect them to do it, when you just said speak out against it, what if they need more time?
No. So there's no time on this. Okay, right? So we're talking about. Rasul said the hadith. I believe the exact wording says whenever you see a wrong. Right, and the Rasul lays it down, like it's very detailed about how he lays it down. Whenever, that means anytime you see a wrong, you stop it with your hands.
Okay,
as a Muslim.
What if they don't stop it with their hands?
You disobey Rasul sallam, and we know disobeying Rasul sallam is a sin. We have to obey the commands of Rasul sallam. You are committing a sin.
Hold on, no. Go through the other levels.
Okay, so go. So like once you
hold on, you hate it in your heart is the least, right?
That's the last level.
That's the least level. That's the last level.
So let me finish explaining, because maybe this will answer all your questions. The default, right? The default is you stop it with your hands. Now, if you meet certain criteria, you are then allowed to drop down to the next level. So the next level, we know if you can't, and he says, if you can't stop with your hands, and we're talking about what you can, it means you don't have the power, you don't have the authority, you can't actually stop it with your hands, right?
You don't have the courage.
What? No, that's not a can't. That's not a can't. That's anybody can say, I don't have the courage. I don't have the courage to go to jihad. I'm not going. No, that doesn't work that way. I don't have the courage to pray. I'm not going to pray. Doesn't work that way. You can't just pick your own exceptions. The exceptions are, very clearly, you don't have the power, you don't have the capability, you don't have the authority to stop it, right? Then you're allowed to drop to the next level. What's the next level? Then you must speak out against it.
To be fair, let me add one more thing to that first level, and that's if you, by using your hands, like you physically stopping someone, or it could be in the second level by you saying something, if it's going to cause a bigger problem.
Right.
And that's one, and I almost hesitated to mention it because a lot of people try to use this as a wiggle out. When I could have done something, but it was just gonna, this. A lot of times that doesn't apply, but that can be a thing where, for instance, your father is taking the whole family on to the Eid prayer, right? And you know that if you piss him off, he's gonna turn around, no one's gonna be able to go, right? And he says, you know what? Back my day, the 7 Sultan used to blah, blah, blah. Now, if you start him down that road at that point in time, it's 15 minutes of the prayer. You got to get there. And you say, well, we don't believe in that. You start him up. He might be like, all right, well, everybody get out. And if you know that about him, then maybe just wait till the trip back. Be like, oh, maybe when you said on the way there. But so there's certain instances where it's going to cause a bigger issue, right? If you know that this person, you're dependent on this person to, maybe a young lady is living in the house with her non-Muslim parents. This happens a lot of times. But for instance, a young person is living with their TMOA juiced up family members. And this lady is like, okay,
this is why
she could get kicked out of the house. She could get, she might be severely harmed by saying something. Then her thing is she should be actively trying to find a way out of that situation. You can't be just chilling like, well, I'm going to chill here forever. She literally has to be trying.
The basic principle for that whole concept is basically when the harm outweighs the benefit. That's another exception that allows you to drop down to the next level, right? So like speaking out, for instance, like a good example is like, for instance, we know a Muslim drinking alcohol is haram, right? If we go out and we see our son on the street drinking alcohol, we're going to go snatch it up on him, take it, break it, whatever. But you know what? That's actually a crime in America, right? We might actually get arrested if we see people committing zina on the street. We should go stop it. But in America, the harm's going to outweigh the benefit because we're going to get arrested. We're going to be separated from our family. So we don't have the power or the authority to go stop certain things. But guess what? We can speak out against it because we have freedom of speech, right? So there's always these like things that you look at, but we look at the default mode on applying this hadith is that we stop with our hands unless we fit certain criteria. Then we can drop down to, okay, I'm going to speak out against it. And for 99% of all the situations that we encounter as Muslims living in America, we can speak out against something that the benefit is always going to outweigh the harm. Of course, there's some exceptions. But then here's the kicker, right? When we always say, okay, the last part is, or then you can hate it in your heart, and that is the least of your faith. Here's the kicker. That is accompanied by leaving the situation. That is not done in isolation. You cannot sit around your family members and friends and they're talking about the 7 Sultans and you're like, you know what? I feel I'm not in a position that I can stop them. I don't feel I'm in a position that I can say anything. I'm just going to sit here and hate it in my heart. No, you have to actually get up and leave and don't be around those people. You can't just keep coming to family dinners, sitting down, and they're talking about the 7 Sultan, my Murshid, this and this and that, and you're just sitting there quiet. And I'm allegedly hating it in your heart because you know what? You're actually not hating it in your heart. You actually accommodated for it. You actually accepted it in your heart because you want to be around it.
And truthfully, I would agree with that last part because if you hate something, when we're talking about the word hate, you try to create separation from that you hate or you dislike or you don't. You're going to grow discomfort being around something or someone that you hate or a situation. So I would agree with that. I know I don't want us to go down this rabbit hole. I still feel like there's that time situation is a little bit sensitive and it's not because you brought up some good points, Mubarak, about the situations when it comes to time. And we can't decide for someone if their situation is dire or not. We can't. Let me give you
because when you're saying, you gotta be careful how you're saying it because people are gonna use that time thing as if like, yeah, I'm just gonna wait a couple years because it's not the right time. We're talking about like people that are like, there is really hardly like I can see like, okay, yeah, we're about to eat dinner, we're having a whatever they're doing, and they're like, okay, this is not the right time to bring this up because it's gonna spoil the mood. then tomorrow, an hour later. We're not talking about weeks, years, months. It's not the right time. It's not the right time. That's ridiculous.
Let me give you a scenario. Let me give y'all a scenario. Let me give y'all a scenario real quick. I know we got to wrap up. I know we went 45 minutes over, but let me just give y'all the scenario. Let me give y'all the scenario, right? Okay. For instance, you have a husband and a wife. Neither one of them are on the juice. Neither one of them believe in Tmoa. They don't believe in the seven sultans. The husband doesn't believe it. The wife doesn't believe it. Wife's family is completely juiced up. I'm talking about 100% juiced. All right? Okay? Now, if the husband is, when he comes around, is telling them, seven sultans is this, that, and other, whatever. The wife, whose whole family, everybody around is juiced up, she just keeps quiet. She doesn't argue with them, but she don't believe it. But she doesn't believe it, right? Now, if she does, number one, the father will then try to separate the husband and wife. Even if the wife was like, I don't believe this. But if the father knows for sure the husband is not on the juice, he's going to try to break them up. Mm-hmm. They know that for sure. You have children involved, and the wife knows that her siblings, her family members, friends that father or the family has control over, she's going to be cut off from. So right now they don't believe it, but they're able to still interact and have some relationship and effect on other family members who are, possibly could come off the juice or whatever. They're not one way or the other, but they know that if the father and the mother and the leaders of the family say, don't deal with them, they're gonna have a lot of fitna on their hands. But their belief is fine. They just have people who are on the juice like that. So in that instance, when you have family reunion or Friday afternoon dinner, or little Sarah and Fulana's getting married, or the little basketball tournament or whatever, when the husband who ain't on the juice comes around and wife who doesn't believe either, but their families are mixed up in that, for those people in that environment where you have the harm, we know what the harm that can come and the benefit that can come, what would you advise there? It's keeping quiet, and I'm talking about when you have people who, you call them old heads or whatever, have that ability and the power to influence to say, all right, we're not dealing with so-and-so no more because he said something about my sheikh, and he's going to try to snatch his daughter and keep him, and you this is over with. Even though maybe the daughter is not able to articulate or stand up to her father and say, I don't believe this anymore. Maybe she should be able to, but looking at the situation, she's going to be separated from her siblings, maybe some of her cousins or nieces, nephews, or whatever, that she's able to freely, intermingle with.
Everything you said, Mubarak, once again, this ain't no fairy tale. This ain't no, these are real situations. And I'm living through a lot of the stuff that you're talking about right now. And I know companions and some of my brothers and stuff that's living through exactly what we're talking about. So that's why I'm pretty much, I don't want to say I'm pushing back, because I actually agree with you, Jaffer, a great deal. I'm really more so trying to make a case, and maybe I'm simping. I don't know. Maybe I'm pandering. I'm trying to make a case for people that might not be able to. And just like you said, Mubarak, those type of scenarios come up all day time. All day time.
I got one question to challenge you with. Give me one scenario. I don't care if you have to make it up, whatever. One scenario where a person can't make their beliefs known.
I mean, I feel like Mubarak just kind of just cleaned that up, I don't know if it's. Go ahead, Umar.
So do you think that? So let me ask this for Jaffa. I'm not jumping on the other side just for. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to give the whole. I'm trying to give every angle its proper due. And so what I'm saying is that, Jaffa, for you, do you know of scenarios where if a person says they stand up at Jumu'ah or wherever, family gathering, basketball tournament, whatever, and they say, I don't believe in the seven sultans. Mm-hmm. Do you not know of people that would immediately be divorced from their wife or husband? Their family members would not talk to them anymore. They wouldn't be dealt with. Man or
Okay.
woman?
Right.
Would you agree with that statement? There are people that right now would be in that scenario. They would be
Yes.
cut off.
Yep.
Okay. So this is a real thing. So that is a legit real world harm that can come to that person. So does it outweigh?
Whoa, wait. No, so
Okay.
first let's actually tell me where the harm is.
So there, for instance, okay, let's just go with it just with a spouse. They would immediately be separated from their spouse.
Does their spouse still believe in it? They already separated. We already talked about this. They already divorced. So
like I said, let's take it a step further. The spouse is off the juice. The wife is off the juice too.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here's the thing. So this is where we have the problems, right? We have, and this is what it kind of boils down to. People are trying to avoid what I think we all agree they know they should be doing to try to avoid something that is uncomfortable, right? And in doing that, they run towards something that is actually more harmful to them. So, for instance, right? If you are married to a spouse and both y'all, like the scenario did, they're both off the juice or whatever, right? And you believe you're in a situation that if you speak up, they're going to convince your spouse to divorce you. Guess what? Your spouse ain't off the juice. Mm-hmm. Right there, they just told you they're not actually off the juice. Boom. You just shouldn't be married to that person anyway.
Okay, maybe, but this is what does happen sometimes, right?
Mm-hmm.
They say it's him or us. You want to be married to that? You know what, hubby? Go ahead, but not around here. So don't come back. Go with him and just him, and nobody deal with him anymore. Listen, I'm not even on this side. I'm just being real.
I'm not on this side either.
It is a very lonely road. Seriously, to lose all of it.
And here's what we have to tell people, right? There is everybody has a situation, and we've seen enough situations that no matter how bad you think it's going to be by speaking out, it's actually 100 times better that if you actually do speak out. If you may think like, okay, you know what? I'm going to lose my wife or my husband, my kids, my father, my friends. Guess what? You think it's that bad? Shaitan, Allah tells us about this. Shaitan, this is how Shaitan tricks us. Yeah. He threatens us with loss of friends and family. This that while Allah promises you all these blessings. Right? Mm-hmm. So we can say like, yeah, these are real situations and people are actually going through this. Yes, there's nobody out. Well, I'm pretty sure there's some people out there, but there's not many people out there that could probably say, oh, I went through something worse than what Jafar went through. Well, right? And guess what? If I didn't do what I would have I would have went through worse. And actually, when you actually talk to me, people that know me, I actually look at myself like, yo, Allah hooked me up. And people from the outside will say, how? Your kids don't talk to you. You got divorced. You have all these legal expenses and this and that. And I'm like, trust me, Allah hooked me up.
Jafar, let me just put a bow on this because we do got to wrap up. We need to wrap up. Reach up in here and yank us off after I put this I agree with Jafar right there. But the problem, I wouldn't even say the problem. The situation that you just described right there, it's a progression type of situation for someone to not understand that it's 100 times better on the other side. A lot of people have that fear because they don't know or believe it's 100 times better. But just like you said, you're right. When you actually make that move, you realize, man, this is so much better. You feel what I'm saying? You can see clearer. It's 100,000 times better. But that person may not be there at that moment. And that's why I was saying it takes some time. And the time is with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is the one who opens the eyes and opens the hearts, not us. So
yes, Allah guides, but our actions lead to Allah guiding us more, right? So when we actually take these steps, right, and this is what we have to keep telling people, and we can't keep giving them like yes, when we're talking to people individually, we can empathize with them, we can be compassionate and understand their situation. And yes, it does take time, but that time is not like, oh, there's a magical period of like, okay, here, now you do it, right? That time is actually your iman increasing. You trusting in Allah more and more and more. But we're not going to tell you like, oh yeah, here's what you do. It's okay that your iman is low. No, it's not okay. It's not okay to be in that situation. It's not okay to be content with like, I'm okay with being quiet, because Rasul tells us in the hadith, this is the least. We as Muslims, we don't aspire to be the least, right? We aspire to try to follow the Quran and Sunnah to the best of our ability. And with this whole thing, right? And it kind of goes with our goal individually is to make it to Jannah. F all this other stuff. F it all. We want to go to Jannah, right? All these other things are means to help us get to Jannah. Now, if you start forgetting about that goal and start focusing on these means, then you're going to be diverted. You're going to be delayed. You're going to be postponed. And if you really want to help yourself in these situations, and this is a big thing, we have to really harp on this, because this is the biggest thing preventing people from going onto the right path, is these relationships, right? It's the cult thing. They want to be in the cult. They want to go to the Eid. They want to have fun. They want to laugh. They want to go to bath. This is really what's holding people up. So I think we really have to take a stern position on this and really preach. No, make your position known. Make your position known. Rasul Sallallahu talks about the hadith like, you are on the religion of your friends. Be careful who you take as friends, right? And this has so many lessons that we can take from it, right? And then so many different nuances to it. But from what I understand from the hadith, right, is that pretty much when you're around people, there's like a gravitational pull. Y'all are pulling towards each other, right? You can't control it. You're going to pull towards each other, okay? You're going to start going towards their beliefs or being okay with their beliefs, and they're going to start getting pulled towards your beliefs. Now, whoever has the strongest gravitational pull is going to have the biggest influence. And for you, if you really care about your relationships, what you have to do is say, you know what? I'm going to dig a hole. I'm going to stick my feet in the ground. I'm going to bury my feet, and I'll put some rocks on top, and I ain't moving. And the best way you could do that is by saying, this is what I believe, and I don't believe in that. Boom, you just stuck yourself in the ground. And now for anybody that's around you, even the people that so-called cut themselves off, because I've seen this happen, I don't know how many times, where people have said, I have to cut you off because you don't follow our sheikh and this and that. Guess what? Because that person stuck in the ground and stuck firm in their position, that person, without any interaction whatsoever, they kept circling, they kept orbiting, they kept getting closer and closer until like a year, 2, 3 years later, like, you know what? You were right. I was thinking, what you said 4 or 5 years ago, this happened, that happened. That is what happened. So like, people, yes, we understand. You may be in a situation. You may not have the courage yet. You may not have the understanding yet. But trust in Allah where you can just say, you know what? Abu, Umi, sister, brother, husband, wife, whoever it is, I don't believe in that. That is shirk. And I don't think you should believe in it either, because I care about you. I love you. And I want to go to Jannah with you. And if that's all you say for the rest of your life, Allah knows best, but I believe you'll get blessings every single day that you live, even past to live, because that person will think about it. They'll think about it whenever your name pops on the chat, whenever they see your status on WhatsApp, on Facebook. Even when you pass away, they're going to be like, you know what? That person denounced Mubarak Jelani. They don't believe in 7 sultans. And that one little instance might cause that person to say, you know what? Maybe I should look into this. And you guided someone. We're talking about Sadaqah Jariyah. We're talking about giving dawah. Like that. This is really what it is. You don't have to come on our show. I'm ranting. I'm bad, y'all. We don't have to come on our show and talking and do what we're doing. Alhamdulillah, Allah has guided us and gave us the energy to kind of do this stuff. All you have to do is simply go into your family chat. Go in there. Make sure it's a day that nobody's talking, nothing's going on, and say, here it is. Leave a voice note. I do not believe in the 7 sultans. I do not believe in any of these beliefs. Put it there, leave it, and don't do nothing else. And I bet you after that, guess what? Allah's going to start putting some other stuff in your heart. Allah's going to start putting some other stuff in your heart. And I bet you, test me. Someone's going to reach out to you and say, hey, you know what? I don't believe it either. What is it that you noticed? and then another person, and another person, and another person, and all of a sudden, people's going to start coming to you, and you're going to be that pole. You're going to be that figure, that family, that friend that they're around, and they're coming onto your religion, of following the Quran and the Sunnah. It's really that simple. We just have to trust Allah. We forget what Allah tells us and what Allah promises. It's really not that hard. What is someone going to do? Not talk to us? Who cares? Allah's going to talk to you. You know what? Oh, they abandoned you? You know what? I'm going to talk to you. Come talk to me at the Hajj. I'm going to wake you up. I want to inspire you to get up at the Hajj and read Quran. I'm going to inspire you to read Hadiths and learn this and that. This is what Allah promises us. We just keep forgetting this, and we get all entitled like, oh, my wife, my husband, oh, my son, my kid, my parents. You really care about them? You really love them, as Mubarak was saying? Then try to get them on the right path. And that first step is letting them know, like, hey, you're wrong, I'm right, follow me. Simple. My bad, y'all.
No. I was gonna say something, but you covered everything. Alhamdulillah. Yes, hey, listen, make your beliefs known. Okay. If your family members, just keep showing up until they physically block you from dealing with them. That's it. That's what you got to do, and Allah will do the rest, inshallah.
Yes, inshallah. We'd like to thank Abdullah for coming on earlier in the show. We had planned to only do that, but this is a very important topic to discuss. And we didn't want to have to do another show a week or two from now, so we had to get this out now. Everything my brother said here, all truthful, very, very true. And it's not just for the code. This is in your everyday life as well. Whenever you go to work or apply for a job, make it known, hey, I'm Muslim. These are the things that I have to do. This is what I will do. Every Friday I leave to go to Jummah, right? And my boss in my year in review was like, hey, seeing you as a Muslim go leave every Friday to go pray, you don't make any excuses. You got whatever you do when you go leave and go to the mosque and pray. He said, seeing you do that, it makes me want to be a better Christian. All right. And I said to him, the best Christians are Muslims. Anyway, stand firm for what you believe in. Never compromise your beliefs for anyone or anything. All right. It could be very hard. It's a tough road that you can lead, but Allah tells you in the Quran, and these are the words that I live by. I was telling my brothers this the other day. And with hardship, there's come ease. All right. And so, no matter what you go through, all right, Allah promises you there will be ease after your hardship. All right. So stick true to that. Don't get stuck to family ties when they're trying to pull you into shirk. When you're correct, when you're on this line, because the history of Islam is so full with this. It's so full of the Jahili Arabs trying to pull the Muslims back into the tribal. Hey, how about we have this year here we're gonna worship the idols. This year worship Allah. No. There is no middle ground between shirk and Islam. There's no middle ground. So you have it on one side or the other. All right. Be strong. Be staunch in your beliefs. Say alhamdulillah that I'm not there anymore, and try your best to get those who are still in, pull them out. Because I remember when I was the first person in my family to be fully out. All right, fully out. Johnny's a fraud. This, that, and the third. And they're like, oh, what in the hell you got going on here, boy? I was like, listen, Abdullah, I'm sorry, but listen, oh boy, he will wonky that side. It's a constant effort on your part. And sometimes it's like, damn, like I'm talking to a wall. But inshallah, through consistent effort and you just saying, hey, whenever they see you, because listen, no one will ever have a conversation with me and think, I think Amr might be, kind of wavering back towards the Jamaat. It's never going to happen. There is not a 0% chance of happening ever. So, alhamdulillah, believe in Allah fully. All right, don't be worried about any of the nonsense. All right, listen, it could be hard. I understand, but as long as you know and believe in your heart that this is 100% the truth, you'll be okay. All right, inshallah. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah. ولا إله إلا الله والله أكبر ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العظيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.
And Allahu Lama Khan is